Hello everyone, welcome to the Google Cloud Platform tutorials, and in this tutorial we are going to see the second lab in the Google Cloud Essentials quest. In the previous lab we have looked into the tour of Quick Labs and Google Cloud. By the way, this video is brought to you by Zeedup Technologies. In this tutorial we'll be creating a virtual machine. For this you need to sign in into your Quick Lab account. And on the catalog, you can find the Google Cloud Essentials quest. And in this quest, we have this second lab. And when we click on it, you can get the console opened. And for this lab, we also have score for 100 marks. And the time allotted is 40 minutes. Now we'll start with the lab. In this particular lab, you will be creating a virtual machine on the Cloud Console and on the command line as well, and you'll just deploy it to the server. For this we are going to start the lab, and it is suggested to open the lab in an incognito window instead of opening in a normal tab. Here the credentials has been given, the username, password and the GCP project ID, which were completely temporary only for this lab and the unique for this particular lab. And we'll just open Google Console and paste the username that has been given. You can click on use another account, and we just paste that. The password is also given, and we use that to sign in. And now when we look into this objectives of this particular lab, to start with this, we need to activate the Cloud Shell, which is present on the right corner at the top. Before that, we need to accept these terms of service and conditions. We need to confirm this. And the first command that we are going to execute is this command, which is gcloud auth list. This is used to get our username, and it is used to check whether the username is correct according to the given credential or not. And for second command, we are going to use it for getting the project ID. The command is Google Cloud Config List project. By executing this, we can get the project ID. Is asking to log in once again. So we'll just use this same username. And the password can be pasted from here. And after executing this, we'll see what regions and zones are actually. We have 5 different regions, and there are different zones also given for these particular regions. Each region will be having different number of zones. Whereas in Western US, we are having two zones. In Central US, we are having the zones as A, B, C, and F. And for Eastern US, we have B, C, D. And we have B, C, D for Western Europe and ABC zones for Eastern Asia. So we'll see whether the cloud console has been opened or not. Yeah, it is opened, and we agree and continue with this. And each zone will be under the region, and we need to perform according to the zones and the regions that were given in the parameters to create an instance. Here we'll be activating our cloud shell, and it will be coming at the bottom of the page. Here you could able to see, and you'll click on continue. We need to authorize before using this cloud shell. We'll authorize it and we'll execute these commands. Soon after connection will be established, we'll be executing that. By the time we'll be looking into the instance that we need to create, here a VM instance need to be created. That can be created in the compute engine. The compute engine, you can find it in the navigation menu. As we have discussed in the previous session, the navigation menu has all the features to access them easily and fastly. And here, and yes, we got this. We'll execute the first command to check, and we need to authorize first, as I said. This command we have used to check the username. We got the same username which was given to us in the earlier. Use the second command for getting the project ID. We execute this command to get the project ID here, and we got the project ID according to the given credentials. Now we'll see to create the VM instance in the compute engine. So for compute engine, we need to check in the compute. In compute engine, we can see the first option, that is VM instances. And you click on it, and you can see the console has been opening. You get an option here as create, and you click on that create option. We need to create this instance according to the parameters given. The name which is given to this instance is GCE lab. Even you can use your own name to give the name for this instance, and the region, and all these parameters need to be according to the given detail. Now we'll click on create. Here you could able to see the region is in this US Central region, and the zone is given as C. The name of series was given as N1, and the machine type, it is mentioned as N1 standard 2. And for boot, it was already given that new 10 GB standard persistent disk, and for the OS image, it is given as Debian. We'll be performing all these parameters in this instance creation. The name which we are going to give is GC lab, and region which was already set to US Central 1, and we'll change the zone to US Central 1C, and for series we give N1. The machine type which we have seen, it is N2 standard, N1 standard 2 VPC CPU. The boot disk was also given according to the given parameters, which is as new 10 GB standard persistent disk. So there's no need to change this. And for firewall, we need to allow HTTP traffic. And that's all about the parameters to create an instance. We just create this now. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes to create this instance, and we'll be getting the internal IP and the external IP, and it is preferred to note those external IP and internal IP aside so they can be used in the further process. We can see that the zone in the internal IP and external IP of the particular instance has been shown here. In the same way, we'll be getting the external and internal IPs here. Yeah, we'll be noting this external IP aside so that we can use it for next step. And in the next step, we need to click on this SSH of this instance. After clicking on this, you can see a console will be opened, and now we are going to install a web server, that is Nginx. Here Nginx, it is completely open source software, and we are going to install that web server. That can be done using these following commands. The first command which we are going to use is sudo su minus or hyphen, and we'll be executing that in the SSH of GC lab instance. And to update that, we need to execute this particular command, apt get update. The web server is going to get updated within a second, and we get the same output as mentioned here. And to install the Nginx web server, we execute this command to install. The same can be performed here. Is getting installed, and after getting installed, we need to check whether the web server is running or not. For that, we need to execute this particular command, which is psauwx. This command will check whether the web server is running or not. We execute this particular command, and you can get the output here. And to check whether the web server is running or not, we open a new tab, and you just need to copy paste the external ID, the external IP, which we have noted down in the previous step. Here we are going to execute the same, or else you can even click on this in a new tab. Here we could able to see the web server has been created. The same has been displayed according to the output. We'll see the progress of this particular step, and if we get a green tick mark here, we can tell that the step has been completed, and yes, the step has been completed and the mark has been allotted here, 50 mark. And to create an instance with gcloud, the same process can be followed in the cloud shell. We will be opening the cloud shell here. As it is already open, we just copy that command and we execute that. In the previous step, we have given the name in a particular different manner, but in this we have given the command in a single line to create an instance. Here the external IP, internal IP, and the zone and the name has been created automatically, and we'll see whether the instance is working or not. For that, we'll click on this to check our progress. If we get a green tick mark, it means yeah, the instance has been created. You can check it here. We got a mark, and to get that instance here, we need to refresh once so that we can find and another instance is also created with the name of GC Lab 2, the zone US Central 1C with an internal IP and an external IP. And this is all about creating a virtual machine. And these are all the specifications that were given to this particular lab and the parameters that we use to create an instance. And the same thing can be followed in the first step as we have followed using SSH. We use the same thing for this second instance, and clicking on this in SSH, you can execute the same command. Then you can check whether the command, the web server is running or not. And this is about creating a virtual machine using the cloud console and the cloud shell. Thank you for watching.